Hello everyone and welcome to my Friday Facts. This week has been very trying. It's been a hard week and I hope you're all doing alright. I thought we all needed something beautiful to watch, something courageous and strong, something like the great horned owl. I love these beautiful owls. Let me tell you a few interesting facts about these raptors while you can watch some of my favorite clips. The great horned owl is also known as the tiger owl. That's originally derived from early naturalist description as the winged tiger or tiger of the air, or the hoot owl, and is a large owl native to the Americas. It's also the provincial bird of Alberta, Canada. The great horned owl is one of the earliest nesting birds in North America, often laying eggs weeks or even months before other raptorial birds. While urban and rural populations show little difference in productivity, there are differences in nest selection. Rural owls use old raptor nests more frequently than urban birds, who utilize crow or squirrel nests. Additionally, urban nesting individuals utilize trees that are taller and wider in diameter and nest much higher compared to rural nesting great horned owl. The reason behind this increased tree height is due to the fact that urban areas have large trees used for ornamentation, shade and shelter. The higher nesting within the taller trees is often attributed to human avoidance too. Both rural and urban nesting sites were often within a range of paved roads, likely as a result of the great horned owl's tendency to hunt along roadways. Most tree nests used by the great horned owls are constructed by other animals, often from a height of about 4.5 to as high as 22 meters off the ground. They often take over a nest used by some other large bird, sometimes adding feathers to line the nest, but usually not much more. The leaf nests of squirrels are also regularly used, but in general, great horned owls are partial to stick nests, since they provide a much firmer, safer foundation. The incubation period ranges from 28 to 37 days. And the female alone does all the incubation and rarely moves from the nest, while the male owl captures food and brings it to her, with the first nightly food delivery typically occurring soon after dark. The young weigh around 35 grams at birth on average and can gain an average of about 33 grams a day for the first 4 weeks of life. When first hatched, the young are covered in a whitish grey down with some brownish on the wings. Gradually, the soft, juvenile, downy plumage comes through the down, being typically a cinnamon buff colour, but with variable hues predicting the eventual colour of the mature owls. The extent of the down gradually diminishes, developing mature-looking plumage by late summer. Although many first-year birds still have bits of scattered down right into the autumn. By late autumn, the first-year birds look similar to adults, but with a slightly warmer reddish tinge, less well-developed ear tufts, and a smaller white throat patch. The nestling owls develop mostly in behavior between 2 weeks and 2 months in age, in which time they adapt the ability to defend themselves, grasp food, and climb. Vocally, the young are able to exert weak chirps while still in the egg, developing into a raspy chirp shortly after hatching. The calls of the young increase rapidly in intensity, pitch, and character. Some juvenile males mimicking their father's hooting in the fall, but usually they conclude with various odd gurgling notes. The earliest competent hooting by juvenile owls is not until the next January. Young owls move onto nearby branches at about 6 weeks and start to fly about a week later. However, the young are not usually competent flyers until they're about 10 to 12 weeks old. The age at which the young leave the nest is variable based on the abundance of food. Great horned owl is generally coloured for camouflage. They often have a striking white patch at their throat, and individual and regional variations in overall colour occur, with birds from the subarctic showing a washed out, light buff colour, while those from the Pacific coast of North America, the ones I see here in Vancouver, are darkish brown colour overlaid with blackish splotching. The skin of the feet and legs, although almost entirely obscured by feathers, is black. Even tropical great horned owls have feathered legs and feet, and the feathers of the feet of the great horned owl are the second longest known in any owl, after the snowy owl. And the bill is a dark gunmetal grey, as are the talons. Great horned owls have a facial disc. This can be reddish, brown, or grey in colour, and is demarked by a dark rim culminating in bold blackish side brackets. The species' horns are tufts of feathers called plumicorns. The purpose of plumicorns is not fully understood, but the theory that they serve as a visual clue in territorial and socio-sexual interactions with other owls is generally accepted. The great horned owl is the heaviest extant owl in Central and South America and is the second heaviest owl in North America, after the closely related but very different looking snowy owl. It is heavily built with a barrel-shaped body and a large head, broad wings. Its size can vary considerably across its range, with populations in interior Alaska and Ontario being the largest, and populations in California and Texas being the smallest. Adult great horned owls range in length with an average of about 55 centimetres and possess a wingspan of an average of 122 centimetres. The females are somewhat larger than the males, and the mean body weight is about 1.5 kgs. Like other owl species, the great horned owl is capable of silent flight, which is the way owls fly without making any discernible noise despite their large size. This is made possible thanks to three main components of the owl's wing structure. The leading edge of their feathers have serrations that help to disrupt the turbulence generated by wing flapping. Then the softer feathers help deaden the sound, and finally the trailing fringe of the feathers that works to finish cutting the sounds made by flight. The structure of the great horned owl wing also allows it to fly at very low speeds for the size of the species, as slow as about 2 miles an hour when they are gliding on breezes. The legs, feet and talons are large and powerful. Great horned owls can apply at least 300 pounds per square inch of crushing power in their talons, a pressure considerably greater than the human hand is capable of exerting. In some big females, the gripping power of the great horned owl may be comparable to much larger raptor species, such as the golden eagle. The outer ear openings, which are concealed by feathers on the side of the head, are relatively small. Like most exclusively or near exclusively nocturnal species, the great horned owl has asymmetrical ear holes that allow for the triangulation of sounds when hunting in the dark. The different height holes while still close together, are differentiated enough that the owl is able to use the timing and direction of the sound waves hitting each hole to precisely locate prey, even if the prey is located under cover, such as snow. The disc-like shape of their faces also helps to direct the sounds they hear towards their ears. While the true nature and purpose of the ear tufts that are present on the great horned owl is unknown, researchers agree that the tufts do not play any role in the hearing ability of the owl. It is estimated that their hearing is up to 10 times that of a human being. The great horned owl's eyes, just slightly smaller than the eyes of a human being, are large even for an owl, and rank proportionately among the largest eyes of all terrestrial vertebrates. The great horned owl has cylindrical eyes, which creates more distance from the lens of the eye to the retina, which allows it to act more like a telephoto lens for further distant sight compared to that possible from round eyes. They are visually highly adapted for nocturnal hunting and provide a wide, almost completely binocular field of view, a large corneal surface, and a predominantly rod retina. The great horned owl's eyes contain both rods and cones, like most species that see in colour, but the vision of the great horned owl closely resembles that of many other nocturnal species. Research suggests that the great horned owl has relatively weak colour vision, especially compared to other bird species, despite, or perhaps as a result of, the poorest sense of colour vision. The owl manages to have excellent night vision. Instead of turning its eyes, the owl must turn its whole head, and the great horned owl can rotate its neck 270 degrees. And the iris of the great horned owl is the most beautiful yellow colour. The great horned owl is an extremely adaptable bird with a vast range and is the most widely distributed true owl in the Americas and comprises a large number of subspecies. More than 20 altogether have been named. However, many of these are not true subspecies and only examples of individuals or climate variation. Subspecies differences are mainly in colour and size, and the great horned owl that we get here in Vancouver is the coastal great horned owl, and it's found along the Pacific coast from southeastern Alaska to northern California. Its primary diet is rabbits and hares, rats and mice and voles, although it freely hunts any animal it can overtake, including rodents and other small mammals, larger mid-sized mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and invertebrates. Prey can vary greatly based on opportunity. According to one author, almost any living creature that walks, crawls, flies, or swims, except the large mammals, is the great horned owl's legitimate prey. In fact, the great horned owl has the most diverse prey profile of any raptor in the Americas. Over 500 species have been identified as great horned owl prey. The great horned owl is among the world's most adaptable owls and even bird species in terms of habitat. The great horned owl can take up residence in trees that border all manner of deciduous, coniferous, and mixed forests, tropical rainforests, pampas, prairie, mountainous areas, deserts, subarctic tundra, rocky coasts, mangrove swamp forests, and some urban areas. Generally, great horned owls are active at night, although in some areas they may be active in the late afternoon or early mornings. At dusk, the owl utters a few calls before flying to a more open sing position, e.g. a lodge, bare branch or large rocks or snag and delivers their song. Normally several perches are used to mark occupied territory or to attract a female. Despite its camouflage in cryptic locations, the species can still sometimes be spotted in its daytime roosts, especially by American crows. Since owls are, next to the red-tailed hawk, perhaps the main predator of crows and their young, crows sometimes congregate from a considerable distance to mob owls and call angrily at them for hours on end, and it's often the way I find them. When owls try to fly off and avoid this harassment, they are often followed by the corvids. In ornithological study, the great horned owl is often compared to the Eurasian eagle owl, a closely related species, which despite the latter's notable larger size, occupies the same ecological niche in Eurasia, and the red-tailed hawk, with which it often shares similar habitat, prey and nesting habitats by day. Typically, great horned owls are highly sedentary. That means they stay in one territory, often capable of utilizing a single territory throughout their mature lives. Although some species, such as the snowy owl, northern saw-whet owls, long-eared and short-eared owls are true migrants, most North American owls are not migratory and will generally show fidelity to a single territory the year round. In great horned owls, native pairs occupy territories year-round and long-term. Territories are established and maintained through hooting, with the highest activity before egg-laying and the second peak in the autumn when the juveniles disperse. Most territorial defense is performed by the males, but females frequently assist their partners in hooting contests with neighbors or intruders, even during incubation. On occasion, although territory borders may be successfully maintained via vocalizations alone without even seeing a competing owl, such confrontations may turn physical, with various levels of threats distinguished. The highest threat level involves spreading of wings, bill clapping, hissing, high-pitched screams of longer duration, with general body poised to strike with its feet facing the intruder. If the intruder continues to press the confrontation, the defending owl will hop forward and strike with its feet, attempting to grasp and rake with its claws. Like most owls, the great horned owl makes great use of secrecy and stealth. Due to its natural coloured plumage, it is well camouflaged, both while active at night and while roosting during the day. During the daytime, it roosts usually in large trees, including snags and large hollows, but usually on thick branches, but may occasionally be in crevices or small caves and rocks or in dense shrubbery. Pine and other coniferous trees may be preferred where available, since they are particularly dense and provide cover throughout the year. Typically, males have a favorite roosting site not far from the nest, sometimes used in successive years. I always check the same trees. While roosting, great horned owls may rest in the tall, thin position, where they sit as erect and hold themselves as slim as possible. This kind of posture is well known as a further method of camouflage for other owls, like the long-eared owls and the great grey owls, especially if humans or other potential mammalian carnivores approach them. Oddly, the Eurasian owl rarely, if ever, assumes the tall, thin position. Outside of the nesting season, great horned owls may roost wherever their foraging path ends at dawn. The young birds stay in the area around the nest right into the fall, but will usually disperse by the end of fall. The offspring have been still seen begging for food in late October, 5 months after leaving the nest, and most do not fully leave their parents' territory until right before their parents start to reproduce for the next clutch, usually in December and January. Birds may not breed for another year or two, and they're often vagrants or floaters until they establish their own territories. Great horned owls reach sexual maturity at about 2 years of age. Great horned owls seem to be the most long-living owl in North America. Among all owls, they may even outrank the larger Eurasian eagle owl in known longevity records from the wild, with almost 29 years being the highest age for an owl recorded in North America. In captivity, the record for the longest living great horned owl was 50 years. A more typical top lifespan of a great horned owl is approximately 13 years. Blinky, a male great horned owl at Owl Rehab, is one of their education birds and has been with the centre since 1984, when he was rescued with a damaged right wing due to electrocution. That means Blinky's over 37 years old. Owl Rehab have been caring for him all that time. I'll put a link in my description so you can visit their site and consider supporting their amazing work. Thank you for watching my video, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you. Have a great weekend, everyone. Stay safe, be kind, please respect wildlife and always try to put nature first.